Hello and welcome back to another video talking about the predicted gambling, the polling, what the polls say about the 2020 election as of right now, which is September 9th, 2020, and we're looking in particular the polling, the odds, okay? Now, when we look at the polls, we can see right now that we have a lot of solid red states, a lot of blue states that are solid. But again, what are people spending their money on right now? And as we can see, California is a shoo-in, 95% chance, 92% chance in Oregon, 94% here in Washington. That, just a point of fact, shows that we are losing the election in a lot of states that we are sure to lose. Illinois, of course, again, people are saying New York. Some retards on the right are saying that New York will flip. Of course, it will not. People are saying that the odds are really good that Biden wins these blue states, including the states of Virginia, of course. We are looking at states that are conventionally oriented towards Trump in this election, but are clearly being bet on to be flipping. And such states that are probably going to Biden almost definitely are going to be the states of Colorado, which means red in Spanish, New Mexico, which is a terrible state, sorry, and of course, we are looking at the electoral map with a baseline of 205, and these are the states that are supposed to go to Biden by over 85% in terms of odds. Now, when we look at the great state of Maine, they're saying that that's going to go to Biden. Now, parts of it will definitely go to Biden, but according to the odds, I do believe that he is to win probably this part right here. And when we look at certain states such as the Rust Belt, we can look over here and it'll say that Joe Biden has odds of winning all but Ohio and Indiana. Well, why is that? Well, Indiana is solid red, of course. We're going to fill this in. Now, we're going to fill in the states that are going to Trump by over 80 cents, okay? So people that are completely confident in him winning these. So we're going over here and we are filling out the electoral map, which is typically very similar to what everybody else says it's going to be. Okay, so this is the map right now. As we can see, Joe Biden is winning right now, but this lead will not hold on forever. As we can see, Donald Trump is down about 75 electoral votes, and he needs to pick it up from Joe Biden. Now, when we look at certain states, such as Texas, will it go red? 74% of people, or 74% cents on that odd. Yes. Remember, these are all out of $1, so a cent equals a percent, if you get what I mean. Now, when we look at the great state of Ohio, of course, this one's going to go to Trump. If even the predicted odds, which are usually against Donald, are proving that he's going to win it by about 15%, in terms of likelihood, that is an astounding thing to see. And Ohio's obviously going to Trump. You can see why he's not paying a lot of attention to the state, as when he was in 2016, he was rallying there all the time. Now, when we look at the state of Ohio, which went several points to Trump, we can obviously say that he is going to win the state of Iowa. And then when we look at the South. What is the South saying? Well, if you look at the predicted odds, Florida was supposed to go 51-51. So as we can see, it's right tied. It's tied. So considering that they do favor incumbents, as certain predictors say, I would say that it would go for Donald Trump, as will the state of Georgia. Why do I say Georgia? 67%. The odds of Georgia going Republican is higher than Ohio, even though the margin in Ohio was bigger than the margin in Georgia. Kind of crazy to think about, right? That Trump got less votes in Georgia, yet people are more sure about him winning Georgia than in Ohio. I don't know, very confusing stuff over there. Anyways, we're looking at North Carolina, where the veterans are supposedly hating Trump. Trump called them effing losers. Well, number one, that isn't true. And number two, even the odds are showing that he's probably going to win the state. He won North Carolina by 3.5%, I believe, in 2016. And when you take out the Gary vote, he's probably likely to win it by at least 2%. So he's going to win in the odds, North Carolina. When we look at the states, you could see the rationale for perhaps flipping Michigan. Well, we could see that most people in Michigan are Democrats, and Donald Trump won solidly with the independents to win, and he squeaked it by. As well as the odds are 70% for Bo Biden, and as we can see in the state of Michigan, you could see that his odds are pretty low, and the gap has been constant for days now. And when we look at 30 days, the gap is still pronounced. Over 90 days, the gap is still huge. And this is not my actual belief, but Biden is sure to win this one according to the polls. When we look again at the state of Pennsylvania, very important for the future of the Republican Party that we win the state. As you can see, over the last 90 days, it has remained more or less constant that Joe Biden will win the presumptive home state of this guy. So that's pretty weird to me, but okay, fine. Key word, Joe Biden used to live in Pennsylvania for like 9 years out of his life, out of the God knows how many years he's been alive. So when we look at the other state that we're going to talk about next, we're looking at the state of Wisconsin, which has a 65% in terms of who's betting on the state going for Joe Biden. As you can see, it was closer earlier on in late August when Trump was getting a second wind here, but clearly that did not hold on for long as Joe Biden increased his odds by 10% and Donald went down 6%. So as you can see, it's going to go for Joe Biden according to the polls. Unfortunately speaking, when we look at another state such as Minnesota, we are looking at a similar phenomena to Wisconsin. They're very similar states electorally. They were within 2% of each other in 2016, in fact. And as you can see, over the 90-day period, which has been the entire summer season practically, you can see that it did get a little bit closer in late August, which was Trump's peak relative to the last couple months. And as you can still see, though, Trump is still not doing well. He's been giving 25%, 35% odds of winning the state, and this has remained relatively constant barring late August. So clearly, viewing the state of Minnesota being 70% likely to go for Joe Biden, I'm going to put it in the Democrat column. Again, this is a very close election right now. Anybody could win it, theoretically speaking. Joe Biden does not have enough to win yet. When we look at the next state being, let's look, Nevada, which has an 80% odds of going Democrat this time. And why does it? Well, it was within 3% in 2016, but the problem is with Nevada that they have universal vote by mail, which then means that without consent, you are sending mail ballots to a lot of people that aren't going to vote anyway, and since they're lazy, they're just going to vote by mail instead of going to the precinct, meaning that they will vote unnecessarily, compared to other elections, meaning that this increases the odds for Bo Biden a lot. This is going to be a huge win for Joe Biden. If he does get the votes necessary by mail, he could win it by a couple points at least. And then when we look at the state of New Hampshire, look over here. New Hampshire is clearly going to be down the wire by anybody's imagination. It went to about 3,000 votes in 2016. It was less than 1% of a difference. The Republican senator in New Hampshire, that candidate for the Republican Party in 2016, lost by the skin of her teeth. So clearly this is going to be a very close election. Now, we do have an important Republican MAGA governor, such as John Sununu or Chris Sununu, who will help Trump win. But according to the polls, for the last 3 months, he's been constantly losing by over 70% up until now. He's still at 69%, 72%. So this is going into the Bo Biden column. As you can see, it's down to the greatest state of the union. It's called Arizona. This is notorious MASFA country, John McCain country, unfortunately, but it's also Paul Gosar country, as you can see right now. If we were to look at the odds of the great state of Arizona, which went to Trump by 3.5% in 2016 and 9% for Mitt Romney or 7%, you can see right now that as of the last 90 days or 3 months, it's been a squeaker, actually. In fact, in certain points, Trump has been within grasp of winning the odds, but again, ever since August, it's been getting wider, the gap, Joe Biden's lead. So as of right now, Arizona is predicted to be approximately 64% for Joe Biden, which means that Joe Biden would win it according to the polls. So right now, this is what we have in the election, more or less. A close election, but clearly we do have some flips in this column. We can see that Donald Trump maintains all of the states that he won in 2016, minus, of course, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona. So he does miss a couple of states here, 4 states. But yeah, this is not a big landslide by Joe Biden. And again, this is just the polls. I don't really agree with this. This is not my prediction. But again, this is what people are predicting right now. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. What do you think about the video? What are your predictions? Who will win? I think Trump will win. But this is what PredictIt says. And his job approval is going up. Remember that. It's a V-shaped recovery, guys. Trump 2020. Let's keep it going.